Welcome. Another snowy day. Wonderful. The first order of business, again, is to go over the minutes of the last meeting. I got a spelling correction from Diane. Where did I put that in? It's clear story should be what? C-L-E-S?
C-L-E-R-E.
C-L-E-R-E. Thank you.
Small change.
Okay. Are there any other questions or changes to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented and corrected by Diane? Thank you. Can I have a second, please? From Marcy. Thank you. All in favor, just signal by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you.
Aye.
So moved. Okay. Now we're going to move into the pay application, which suddenly appeared at the last minute here. I haven't had time to even look at it myself or send it out. So David and George, you can tell us why it's delayed and tell us what we need to know about the pay application.
Yeah, I guess I'll let George talk about the details of the application, but the proprietary system that we use called Textura that all this runs through was down for the entire day yesterday. So we scrambled with Oracle to get it back up and running, and it wasn't until like 6 o'clock last night that it was back up and running. So I apologize for that. The beauty of technology. It's supposed to make our life easier.
Okay.
But I guess George, the various people like Slam and I believe some of the subcommittee members they've reviewed the content of this, right? This is more a matter of getting the formal version, right? I mean, it did go through the standard review process, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Then we're billing like $1,876,436. Capasso Masonry just has a little to be billing. Metal Fabrications, Steel Tech, that's actually Stair 1, where they have they've set the treads and all that in Stair 1, or build Stair 1. Architectural woodwork, the casework for the lower level that has been delivered and actually installed in the lower level C and B. General trades, just doing some miscellaneous carpentry. Fire stopping, mostly the fire stopping between the curtain walls and the slabs, and also some penetrations on the slabs, aluminum entrance curtain walls. The curtain walls they've been installing, the storefront windows for the most parts complete. And actually, we had our water test on 3 of the windows last week, and that went very well. So they all passed. Gypsum board ceiling, just framing, continuing framing and sheetrocking. Acoustical ceilings, continuing with the ceilings in the classrooms. Flooring. And that's just a small amount, but we do have the majority of the materials in their warehouse. And actually, we took some moisture tests on the slabs this week, and that went well too. So I think of the slabs were good as far as moisture goes. So we should be starting flooring probably in the next week and a half. I'm going to say 2 weeks. Fire protection, just continuing with the sprinklers, plumbing, doing a lot of the trim work, finishing up the in-wall stuff up on the slab on grades in A and B. Same with mechanicals. Electrical, just continuing with roughing in fire alarms, starting installing light fixtures in the ceilings. communications, been pulling the cable for the data and the, telephones, and also, alert us as far as security goes. Sean's Lawn just did some grading work and storm work. So that's what we have billed for this month, with the allowances for the utility and then our fee and all that. It's total 1,915,305. Then we also have some stored material from the general trades. We do have those are the lockers. So we do have all the lockers have, been delivered they're in the, the shop, and they're ready to be installed as well. So that's what we have built.
George, one question that I had, since we are paying the trades for materials that they have stored off-site, who checks on that? Who verifies the materials are actually there before we pay?
I do that mostly through photographs. So I check on all the paperwork as far as the bill of sales. The insurance are correct, the UCC1 filings, and then they'll typically send pictures and all of that. And then if I haven't done it on this job, but if I feel warranted, we will go out and see. But mostly the pictures, they send us pictures of the material.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the committee about the pay application? Being none, I will move that pay application number 14 as presented to this committee in the amount of $1,876,436.01 be approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Sean, all in favor indicate by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any
Aye.
objections? If there are no objections, the motion is carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to the progress report, George, for February, and bring us up to date where we are now.
Okay. As far as completion dates, we're still projecting middle of May for substantial completion on an academic, and then May of 2023 for site and assembly work. Approximately 79% complete academic, site work 76%. As far as the budgets, it's been updated with the PCOs and all that. The budget and then the trades costs. The contingency, our contingency went down just probably about 8,000. Some of the change orders, but between the allowances and contingency, we're carrying on the construction manager's contingency of $1,120,977, which is at this point still pretty healthy. That's just the summary of all the costs. And then as far as cost schedule impacts, we had 6 RFIs issued this period, 4 PRs, and then the PCOs we had in for approval. PCO 38, we deleted, I guess during the the review process, we deleted an exam table at the nurses area and then replaced it with a resting cot. When I say resting cot, it's basically it's not as elaborate as an exam table, but it's it's very similar. Low voltage redirect. This is for the low voltage cabling in the admin area, part A. The drawings had that low voltage cable going to an IDF room, being terminated in the the assembly wing phase, near the gym. So we had to kind of redirect that cable. It's for the teledata, security, and we relocated that cable to go into a closet that's being built in this phase. So there was some costs associated with that for adding some sleeves. And we actually had to go down, instead of going through the lobby. There wasn't really a path through the lobby. We're actually going down into the lower level, going across and then back up into the IDF room, which is in on the slab on grade area, like area, I guess area B or part B. So there was some costs with that, redirecting a little bit more work with the conduit and length of cable. Rock removal on the south side, when we were putting in the storm and doing some rough grading on the south. The borings showed the elevation of the rock at like 198, and it ended up being pretty close to like 210. So there was rock that we discovered where we had to remove the rock, and actually that was done under a unit price. And then premium time for Sean's Lawn, just working actually it was during the summer months, when we were working 10 hours and Saturdays. And that went actually over the, we were carrying some premium time in the trade contractors allowances, and that, we went over that during that work. So this is, for that overage. And then the ones we're currently processing, we're just sewer elevations. That's Sean's Lawn, communications, conduit. Ferguson Electric still is responding to some of the comments. The VRF in the kiln room, and actually these three is Ferguson Mechanical. So last week we got review comments from the engineer and sent them to Ferguson. So we're working on those. No real schedule activity revisions on the CPM. Then procurement issues, probably talk a little bit about that later too, as far as availability continues to kind of be a challenge in this environment, but working with SLAM and being able to substitute some manufacturers, we're kind of trying to stay ahead of that. And the recent surge with the virus, manpower has become a little more challenging. When you have a crew of 4 guys, one guy would get sick, then all 4 guys would have to quarantine. So, but I think we're obviously much improved, and we're kind of been through that. Project commentary, I touched a little bit that on the pay application. The site work, that's installing the sewer east of the academic building, started grading northeast corner of the site. Part C, complete installation of gypsum board taping lower level, continue painting and sealing grid on the lower level. We started installation of the casework lower level C, and actually completed that. Now we're just trimming out the sinks and all of that in those rooms, and then doing some above ceiling work, getting that ready for inspection actually tomorrow. And then, like I said, we'll probably start flooring in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. Then on the main level, continuing taping the drywall. We've started painting and sealing grid, and then we did get delivery of the casework on the main level yesterday, or Monday rather. So we started installing casework. Part B, kind of the same as Part C on the lower level, and then the main level, kind of the same as far as C, where we're continuing with the painting and the ceiling grids, and also on the main level on the slab on grade, which is what's closest to our trailer. We've been we finished all the in-wall rough-ins. We got our final inspections. We've been starting to drywall and tape in there. And as far as storefront windows, I would say we're complete on all the storefront windows on part B and A. Now we're starting to work, curtain walls. So our curtain walls in the courtyard, that lower level, is pretty near complete. And then they started the curtain walls kind of on the upper part of the courtyard this week, and also the curtain wall and stair two started last week. It was near complete. Part A, which is mostly the rough, in the admin area, all the rough ends complete. The sheetrock is complete. Actually, we'll finish our final taping today, final sanding, and we're going to start painting and putting up ceiling grid in there in the next week or so. Those are just the specific trades. Like I said, schedule-wise, still projecting, the mid-May for the academic building.
George, as you're
Pictures.
going through the schedule, is there anything on the schedule that is a warning or an orange flag or whatever? It didn't appear to me when I looked at it. Anything significant? Let's put it that way.
No, nothing significant.
Okay. Well, let's just move
No,
on then.
Yeah. And then, some pictures. These were taken actually the 15th of February. So, this is the northwest corner. Looking at, this is the main entrance. So since all these windows have been placed, and then like I said last week, we did have water test on 3 of the windows, which went very, very very well. So and then this is like
George,
the
would you
south.
explain for the committee what the water test just roughly is so they understand it?
Well, it's like a 2-part. What they do, it's like an air and water test. So they first do an air test. They'll build like a chamber out of wood and plastic on the inside, and then they take a machine that like measures will put like a pressure, put some like pressure in it. The it measures if there's any air leakage, between the outside and inside the window. So once we do that and the air leakage is less than what's required, then they'll go ahead and then do a spray test, which is basically just putting like 30 pounds of water, spraying the water on the window. I think it's like 30 pounds per square inch. And they do that. We had to do that for like 40 minutes, and then they just go inside and look to see if there's any water leaks.
How many windows do they do that to, George?
We did it to 3.
Oh, okay.
Required it for 3, and then we'll have to do it for the curtain walls when we're finished with the curtain walls, and we'll have to do the same type of test for the curtain walls. So.
This is Amy. If I can just give a bit more background. The water and air pressure test on the windows is a part of the exterior commissioning, and it's also a requirement of one of the credits of the LEED Silver equivalent, Connecticut High Performance. So it's a great check of the construction procedure and all of the detailing to make sure that it's sealed tight and you won't have any air leaking.
And Amy, they have to do a separate one for the storefront windows?
The storefront and the punched opening windows that George was just talking about are the same product. So that one test probably covered both. And then the curtain wall is a separate product.
I'm sorry, the curtain wall. Okay, that's a different product.
Yes. Yeah, so the curtain wall will be a separate test.
Yeah,
Amy,
curtain wall will be a separate.
Would that be the same for the larger curtain wall window in the back of the cafeteria, or does doing one suffice?
I don't know how many we actually, or the commissioning agent required the test on, but one usually suffices, Duke. It's really to make sure that the contractor placed everything correctly. And we assume that if they did it there, they know how to do it.
I believe I believe on the curtain wall there's 3 tests as well.
Oh,
So
good.
we
It's all
can,
random selection, so
right.
you don't tell the contractor in advance which of the areas is going to be tested, or which of the windows.
Right. And then I would say Duke would probably do maybe 2 in this phase, and then we could do one in the the assembly run phase. Break it up that way if we need to. And then this is the like the southwest corner, and then we've since started. There's a curtain wall um, in this area that they've actually started this week as well. So, and then this is just east looking out on the east elevations of B. And then we're actually in the courtyard. So that we've since finished this curtain wall right here, and that's been opened up and started framing and putting in the soffits on the interior side. And like I said, this curtain wall here has been complete. And then the windows and storefronts, those were completed. And actually, one of those was one of the windows we tested in our water test. And then they started this curtain wall yesterday. And we're on the first, we're on the main level, kind of looking down north to the ELP. So we've since, this shows 15th February, but we've since got all the rough-ins inspected. And we've done the insulation, and they've started the sheetrocking. So the rooms have been sheetrocked, and they've been taping, and then they'll start the corridors probably in the next day or so. We're kind of working their way north, if you will. But we've since had all the rough-ins inspections done. All the insulation in the walls have been done, and then we've been moving with the sheetrocking and taping there. And then this is just the classroom on the LP. Actually, this, I'm going to say this is going to be the temporary gym when we're all done, if I'm not mistaken. So you see this, I believe this wall is not going to be put in, and then this will be used for storage. So this is our temporary gym. We're kind of looking on the main level, looking at kind of down towards the suite for the say the nurses and the ELP. Like I said, that has since been insulated, and we've started sheetrocking. The same the upper level. Kind of looking into the admin space. And then this is, the admin space. The conference room is there, but this has all been sheetrocked and taped. And then do our final sanding today, and then we'll start painting and ceilings in there. Actually, on the main level B, we're on the elevated slab side, looking north. So, just you can see the sheetrock. Like I said, that has all been since taped and painted. And we've been working on the soffits, above ceilings, putting in light fixtures and all that in the main level. And then the classrooms are all painted out, the ceiling grid, and we started installation of the casework. That's the classroom painted, or at least the primer and the one coat. Same kind of corridor, just a little bit down further. that's all I have for the report. If anyone has any like questions.
I just have a couple of questions, George. On pages 9 and 10, your pages 9 and 10, in the in-scope change log, all of the entries for the schedule changes show 0. I thought we have a $90,000 or potential charge against the contingency for that expense. It was
Yeah,
something
that's
we,
right. That's kind of why it shows it a 0, because it's not a impact on actually. Let's see, contingency.
I just want to be sure that we're carrying that cost because we've
Yes.
talked about it.
Right.
There was a lot of work done to figure out which was the best options. And,
Yep. Yeah. No, we are carrying the costs.
I believe the way the report shows it shows it as a net
Right.
zero KIP. However, it's pulling the money from the contingency. So the contingency
Right.
value that we're projecting is $90,000 lower than it would be if this change was not in there.
thank you.
We're
Yes, trying to follow your incredible system sometimes is tough.
It's not.
I guess it's not that incredible then if we should be a little more intuitive, I guess.
The other question I had
Dave was saying,
I'm sorry.
right, it pulls out of the contingency and then it goes into the steel, so it's a net zero change, if you will.
As you say.
Yeah.
And then I just want to let everybody know that, because we're going to talk about it in just a minute, that on page 12, the trade allowances, that is the allowances were built into each subcontractor's contract. A total of $321,434. We've utilized so far $86,000. Just want to let you know those numbers because we're going to be talking about inflation and construction costs later on. That's all I have. Anybody else? All right. Then let's move on to the next topic of our meeting today. And that would be the status of our technology and telephone equipment package. Amy? Are you there?
Sorry about
Amy?
that. Yep, I couldn't find the button.
Okay.
So we had some good news this morning. Dr. Adley was able to reach Kermit. I actually gave him Kermit's mobile phone number. Emails weren't working, but as it turns out, my emails did work. Kermit has approved finally the technology equipment sole source requests. He said he sent the letters yesterday to the deputy commissioner for signature, and we might receive it as soon as today, maybe tomorrow. I'm not going to hold my breath, but I will start contacting them tomorrow morning to follow up. I know the secretary of that department who can help me. So as soon as we get that letter, we'll put the technology equipment out to bid. We'll do a 3 or 4 week bid and state contract procurement process and get everybody contracted as soon as possible.
Okay.
There
Now,
has been progress. It is delayed, as you know, 2 months from when we originally asked.
Apparently, the State Department, Oscar, or whatever you want to call it, are very distracted with all of these investigations going on.
Absolutely. It's very hard to get a hold of them, in my experience, on multiple fronts.
Yes, I think even Sheila Flynn, who works with Mike and Richard Riddle, said it was very tough to get anything out of that office. So,
yeah, unfortunately, as you know, there's been a lot of investigations and turnover, and another resignation a couple of weeks ago from the OPM office. So we're lucky we got through the process for the big project and got all the funding in place when we did.
Okay, we still need to get this technology stuff in.
We
Okay,
do, as soon as that letter comes, that's the last we need of OSCGR on this project. So this will be a milestone.
great.
Amy,
Yep.
what do you think the impact will be, or will there be any impact to the schedule? I mean, we talked last month about potential ripple effect of some of the technology package coming later.
Mark is going to push the vendors to procure everything as quickly as possible. You know, our original intention was a comfortable delivery date at the end of May. You know, I'm expecting that we will get pushback, and that will be more along the lines of end of June. So we'll have to work. Actually, George and I have a meeting later to talk about furniture delivery dates, and so we'll also talk about technology delivery dates and potential procurement for that. You know, I still think that we have time before the teachers come into the building, but we don't want to be up against it in August. So we just want to really keep pushing on the vendors. And, you know, there's been a 2-month delay from what the state asked for. If we can minimize that, and instead of a 2-month delay on delivery, make it a 1-month delay on delivery, I think that's still very comfortable for allowing time for everyone to move into the building.
Just
And
to
are
be
there specific
clear,
pieces of equipment? Oh, I'm sorry, I was going to say, are there specific pieces of equipment that will push a little bit harder on, that have more of a ripple effect on the construction? Or
So I'll let George speak to that directly, but there are network switches that are involved in this that are important to running other systems within the building, like the mechanical systems, because they control the BMS system or other, you know, they combine with the mechanical system to run the building. So we're going to make sure that either the district can provide some extra network switches that can then be switched out with the new ones, or we can push to have those particular items that might impact the running of the building to get those first. Things like interactive smart boards, touchscreen panels for the teachers. Those are the ones that I'm saying, you know, we have a little more time on, but network cards I think are more important.
To that point, do you have does someone on the team have a point of contact with our director of IT, Jeff Adams? I know he's really interested in following the timeline of all this installation and making sure, to your point, if there is a request for any switches or anything that the district can provide prior to getting deliveries. So is there someone I can connect him to just to have him on the pulse of it?
well, we've been
that would
working
be
with Jeff.
that would be George. Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay, and
yeah,
Jeff's
we've
got
been
the timeline?
working with Jeff. Yep.
Jeff, does Jeff have like a running timeline of this stuff?
Pardon me?
Does Jeff have like a running timeline of, so now that, and I know you're just getting the approvals today, but does he have a timeline of, and potentially contingency thoughts? So if this, then that kind of stuff, just because I've heard from him and I've just been watching, there's a lot of delay in getting this stuff. So.
Right. We've done with Jeff. We we met with him and actually a vendor who's going to run. During this summer we ran a conduit from your existing IT closet to our MDF room. So they're going to be running some fiber line, a fiber line from that closet to our MDF room, and we're going to be backfeeding from the existing building to get the so we could get the IP addresses and those things for, as Amy was saying, the building management control, some of the like the lighting controls and those kind of things. So that's kind of our temporary, so we can continue with the work. And Jeff knows this. We've given him, what our requirements are, and I think he's going to start, looking for, switches just for this, smaller switches or whatever, temporary switches, so we can run our BMS and our other items, until we get the permanent ones.
Hey, as long as
and-
all I'm suggesting is as long as there's a rhythm of communication.
Oh yeah. We've been working really close.
Okay.
We've been talking with them. So
That's great. Thank you. That's
and
all.
then,
Question I would have as a follow-up on that, if you need the existing school's internet connection, is that going to delay us possibly in doing the demolition of the existing school?
I would say not, because we're just so in June when the school's out, we'll be able to, because it's really not the same conduit. So by that time we could, we'll be able to run the fiber optic from the from the street into the building, and then so we'll basically have 2 fiber optic lines, and then just take the day or whatever it takes to switch it out from the one we're backfeeding from the existing school to the new one from the street. So
Okay.
it shouldn't affect the demo at all, and by the end of June, then the school's not going to obviously need
And
those.
Luke, what's the number of staff how many people do you have that actually work in that school throughout the summer?
You're pretty much looking at it. Myself, I have an 11-month secretary, so we're pretty flexible. There's 2 of us are here. My custodial team is keen, but not office work with internet, 2 or 3 of us.
Yeah, so we'll obviously work out any of that. If there's days where there's no service either place or something, we'll let you know ahead so people don't show up to no services. So
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, probably, like telephones and those kind of things. That we're not, talking about like temporary backfeeding. So probably, depending on this equipment that's going out to bid, that's what would probably be delayed mostly, is the telephone services and those things.
That's a good point.
George, this is
So
Alan.
Go ahead, Alan.
No, just to reiterate what you were saying about just contextually, one of the areas we have the biggest problem with, technology-wise, is those network switches impacting teaching and learning just on a regular basis, as it is. So the importance of those is, and as Luke said, the coordination with Jeff is important, because those are things that we just generally have problems with.
Any other questions? Rusty, do you have a question?
Yeah, I keep coming in and out with my audio. Just Amy, the furniture was due in on May 15th. We talked a lot about technology. How is the furniture delivery schedule looking?
So that's what we're going to discuss with George later today, because we want to actually target official days when certain furniture can be delivered. But the furniture is all procured and on track. So
Great.
now it's
Great.
time for us to give them an exact date. We had told them middle to end of May, but now when we talk with George, we'll get exact move-in dates. And we also want to be mindful of the fact that we don't want to put furniture, we want to make sure that the floors are complete, that the punch list is complete, that there's not going to be other finishing subcontractors like painters coming in and out after the furniture's set up.
Right. If you can let us know after you talk to George, that would be great. Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else on this topic? Okay, let's go to number 5, which I think you already touched on in your report, George, but these are the 4 or 5 PCOs that we want to have the committee approve. They're all small enough that could be approved by the subcommittee. However, because we're meeting at one shot, I thought we got them all done at one time. I think you've given a description of PCO 38 already, George. It's a minor
Right.
item. The low voltage cable you talked about, that's also a relatively minor item. Of course, these minor items can keep building up and add to a lot. The rock removal was a question of the boring didn't describe exactly what was down there, so we had and that's based, as I understand it, George, there was a uh, agreed upon per ton or whatever, or per yard uh, uh, rock removal number in advance of anything happening, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we had I think it was like $150 a cubic yard that was
Okay.
agreed in
And then
advance. Yeah.
the premium time for Sean's Lawn, which was, I guess, back in the fall, if I understand it properly, was really because they've already exceeded their, if you will, a trade allowance in their own contract with you guys. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about these PCOs which are up for approval right now? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve them as a group?
Motion.
Rusty moves.
I'll second. Duke.
Duke seconds. All in favor, either indicate by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Item number 6, because I saw an article in the Wall Street Journal which talked about construction costs going up dramatically, I thought we should at least make sure we knew where we stood with our construction costs. George put together a narrative about this, which I sent out to everybody. I don't know if you've all had a chance to look at it, but basically, it says that the construction, our contract, our GMP contract with ONGAP allows to use the construction manager's contingency to cover increase or decreases in cost of any material that's exceeds 10%. And that was all determined as of the date that the subcontractor bids were put in, accepted, and then the GMP was finalized. And according to what we have here so far, no notification from any of the subcontractors, the trade, about any price increases. They took the advice to get their material costs locked in, which is good. We have stored materials off-site. That's the reason I asked that question. How do we verify that? And we do pay subcontractors for materials they have stored off-site. We hold back 7%, I believe it is. It's in the pay application, but we give them some money up front to cover their cost of purchasing the materials. The only one we had an issue with, or not an issue, but the roofing had a big problem in the fact that the materials to make the roof were in such short supply that they had to buy the entire roofing materials for both academic and assembly wing at one time. These are bulky items, so storing them is not easy. They have one site, and now they have to move out of that site to another site. And I guess, George, the comment there is the only thing that we're talking about helping them out with is moving a second time. We're not covering their storage costs.
No. It's just to basically move it, load it on trucks and haul it from where it is to another spot. Which if they could just bring it to the site, we would be squared away there. The problem is we just don't have
the room.
We would choke ourselves off completely if we took delivery of it.
Right. Then you'd have to protect it too. Okay.
Yeah.
So the last paragraph.
Where is it currently being? I guess my question would be, where's it currently being stored? Why does it need to be moved?
Well, because what happened was, so all the material, the way it worked was, what the manufacturer was starting to agree to way back when was say, listen, they were supposed to get the delivery in 2 shipments. They said, well, given the current situation, you're taking the entire job. So it all came to the job site in September. But then Greenwood took that material off site and brought it to one of their warehouses. However, they are losing that warehouse. and no longer have a place to store it. So they wanted to bring it to the site, but we, like I said, we just cannot accept it. So they're trying to make accommodations to send it to another storage facility temporarily until we can take receipt of it. But right now, I think it's somewhere near New Haven is where it is now.
I think it's I was going to say like East Hartford or Windsor or somewhere.
Is it? Okay. You may know better than me, George. Yeah.
The good news is we're not paying for their warehouse cost.
No, it's the trucking, double handling. Yep.
So in the last paragraph, we talked about the material, the cost of labor because of the delays in receiving materials. But again, I mentioned this earlier on about the trade allowances that are built into each of the subcontractors' contracts. They had to put in a number for what was called premium time or overtime and include it in their bid. And as a result, when I mentioned that number before, which is on the progress report page, of $300-some thousand, of which we used about 80,000, we still have the ability to tap into that reserve as we're paying overtime to like painters or wallboard installers and tapers. So this is another bucket, if you will, of reserve that is strictly within the subcontractors' individual budgets or contracts, I should say. To the degree that we exceed the overtime that was in the budget, then it will go against the construction manager's contingency reserve. So that's the story of. It sounds like it's a pretty good story as to where we are with regard to inflationary costs because things have been locked in. Let's just hope it continues that way.
Kip, I have a quick question for Dave or George. Do we have the baseline material costs?
In some fashion, Rusty, we have them, I'd say from, in some of the stuff with the schedule values, but as far as line by line, every trade, their exact material costs, we don't. I think that's, if we were, I guess I would, when people have on another job come to us saying, hey, this is the increase, we've asked them for all the backup information from the time that they bid it, invoicing. There really is no pricing that's actually gone down since we bid this. We're trying to be somewhat careful as far as how we solicit for that information to make sure we're not prompting anyone to come to us if it's over that threshold that we have in the contract. So we're trying to mitigate those on a one-by-one basis if someone comes to us.
And not initiate it. Okay. Well, you have a couple of your subs who may be very aggressive with that.
Yeah, like I said, I think that I think that we're certainly not in the position to start an investigation thinking that we're going to save money on anything. Really everything has trended upward since we took bids here. So really we would just inquire on that information when the time comes. If someone comes to us saying, hey, this is what we've been impacted by, and we'd be looking for all their invoicing from the time of bid.
Okay. Just us up to date on that, if you would.
Yep.
Anything more to discuss on that particular topic? Hopefully it's a reasonable explanation of where we stand today, which frankly sounds like pretty good news given the environment we're in.
You are faring much better than others. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I guess we lucked out on the time that our contracts went out to bid.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else to bring up with regard to the project today? Anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
Yeah, I'd like to just share one item. on behalf of Katie, who's not here, she received a request from the Oxbridge PTO to provide some sustainability information about the building as part of the Earth Day, Earth Week, Earth Month, I'm not quite sure, kind of celebration at the school. They're putting together a bulletin board, and I'm not sure quite what else. So Amy and Dave have been nice enough to sort of share some information, and Amy's going to put together kind of a list and maybe some images of some components of the building that can teach the children about the increased sustainability aspects of this building compared to older buildings. So yeah, so thank you to them in advance for help with that. And I think it's just a nice way that the work that we're doing trickles down to the students and provides a bit of a lesson about energy savings. So I just wanted to share that with the committee.
Great.
Thank you, Diana. Just to piggyback off of that, another thank you to both a number of people on this call who I'll see on Friday. We're hosting a construction expo. Thanks to Dave, George, and the team for organizing a number of professionals to come to Oxford School to kind of educate our kids about all things construction and design. Really excited. We're running it like an expo. Kids will be able to walk through different stations and get their hands on materials, see some cool VR design work, get a chance to look at some models. So very, very excited. The kids are fired up. And I just know it's a good amount of work on the back end, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well,
Hey,
I'm going to ask.
Dave and
I'm
George,
gonna
I'm not sure if Alan's on board. Did they coordinate with you for Saturday? I figure while I have you all on. Or Saturday.
Hopefully George knows about Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they, we talked
good.
about it last week in the OAC
Good.
meeting. So
Well,
yeah,
everyone was on
we're all
board.
set. Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe the kids can run that shovel that's still in the middle of the courtyard, which Sean is convinced will never get out of there.
Well, that's how.
Oh, it is out. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Anything else? I don't have any public comment registered. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, Marcy. Thank you. And I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much, everybody. I appreciate it. Take care.
Have a good day. Luke,
Thank
see
you
you
all.
Friday.
Bye, everyone.
See you Friday.